Hey, it's Alex here. So this is lesson 2 of this 10-part course on the tools of the trade, the essential tools for auto locksmith. So let's get into the lesson introduction first. So what we're going to be talking about is why the right tools are crucial for success, beginner versus professional tools, and how to choose high quality, durable equipment. So let's talk about the must-have tools for beginners. So we're talking about the basic tools to start your locksmith business. So what I want you to realize at this stage is you don't need to go out and buy every single thing that's recommended to you. Now, when I went on an in-person course to learn all about auto locksmithing, that course instructor was on commission to sell me the most expensive equipment that they had. Obviously, the more equipment he sold to me, the more commission he would get. So he told me that I needed so many of these different gadgets. Now, luckily, I didn't actually go ahead and purchase anything on that course. I went away and done my own research. But the other people who were on the course with me, the other students, a couple of them went on to purchase every single tool that was recommended. Now, there was one particular guy sat next to me who purchased nearly every item recommended, which he then walked away with a bill of about £20,000, which is like $30,000. So you definitely don't need to do that at this stage. You can start your auto locksmith business on a budget if you're sensible about it. So let's talk about some of the things that you actually need. So you need 𝐓𝐿𝐒𝐈𝐒 picks and decoders. This is without question a tool. If you're going to pick a tool, it has to be this to start with, because these are going to be what really, you can't do anything without a 𝐓𝐿𝐒𝐈𝐒 pick. You need to be able to pick and decode the vehicle lock first before you can do any part of the business. So that's essential. So lock pick sets. Now these are when often you'll come across the odd car that might need a different type of pick. So we just have a set of these picks on hand. They're also good for key extraction, things like that. Perhaps a wafer's got stuck. You can put your pick in there and wiggle it and get it, free it up. But it's good to have a set of standard lock picks as well. Slim jims and air wedges. So this is for non-destructive entry for locked cars. So what these are little air wedges that create a gap in the door where it will allow you to either fish the keys out, press the button on the key, or actually open the car with the handle. A basic key cutting machine, so these are for duplicating simple keys, and a key programmer. Don't worry, I'm going to get into what I recommend in this course as well. But like I said, you just want to start with the most affordable, reliable tools, then upgrade as your business grows. Another reason for this is you don't want to be sat there with a van full of equipment with all the gear and no idea and not really knowing what all of these things do. It's just going to overwhelm you, put you under pressure and stress because you've invested money into these tools, where really you should be thinking small, start with the basics and move on from there. So advanced tools. So this is as you start progressing in the industry, you're going to want perhaps to upgrade your key cutting machine. You'll want to get a better key programmer. You may introduce one or two more key programmers to your arsenal, which would just give you a bigger coverage of cars. Transponder cloning tools. So these are just when you want to copy the chip data from one key to another. Automotive EEPROM readers. Now this is getting into, like I said, more advanced things, and a battery pack or inverter. Now this should really be on the essential tools, the battery pack, because this, when you're programming a new key, it's good to connect a battery pack so that it keeps the battery at an optimal level when you program the key. So let's give you a real world example. So a locksmith who specializes in European cars may need a more sophisticated programmer than someone working on older American vehicles. But like I said, you want to start out very small with this. So let's talk about key cutting machines. You've got manual key cutters. So these are more for traditional house keys, but I thought I'd include it here anyway. so you know the difference. So with the manual key cutters, the only electronic part of it is the actual key blade itself, which rotates, and you manually cut the key just by using a tracer. Now, a laser key cutter, which is basically an automatic key cutting machine, this works on itself. So like I said, if you can just know what buttons to press, you can then type in the correct code for the key, and that will cut it itself automatically. So like I said, start with a basic machine and invest later. So picking and decoding tools and how they work. So what is a decoder? So often this is used in the same bracket. People say Lishi picks and decoders, and that gets people confused because they think, well, is it a pick or is it a decoder? Because you might hear a Lishi decoder. It's essentially the same thing. So once you pick the lock with the Lishi pick, you can then open it. You can then decode it in the open position. So these Lishi tools are used for picking and decoding locks. It's not one or the other. They're used for both. Now let's talk about Instacode software. There's other softwares available, but these are used for confirming the correct key cut. So let's say you've just picked a vehicle open, you've decoded it using the Lishi pick. You can then enter that decoding information into the Instacode software, and that's going to let you know, it's going to really narrow it down to the correct key cuts, because sometimes your decoding might be slightly off. That depends on the quality of your pick, on the locks. So sometimes the lock's very worn, it might give you the wrong information. There might be dirt in the lock. Like I said, your pick might be bent slightly, and it will give you the wrong reading. So the Instacode software will confirm that key cut, which will save you from cutting a key incorrectly and wasting a key blank and then having to cut it again. And there's also code suppliers. So a lot of people do this. So you can actually set up an account with a code supplier, pay say $20, and they'll actually text you the key cut code for a specific vehicle. Now you will need to supply them with the customer's driving license and the documents to the vehicle, the chassis number, and so on. But it is also an option. If you really do struggle with the picking, you can just order the code, usually the same day, within a couple of hours. So here's an example. A client loses their only key. There's no code available. A Lishi decoder can help extract the correct key pattern and cut the new key without replacing the lock. Because like I said, we don't want to get our hands dirty with this job. We really just want to be able to pick and decode the lock and cut a new key. So key programmers and transponder tools. So most cars use a transponder chip. Like I said, anything after 1995. So without this transponder chip, the car won't recognize the key. So a few common programming tools are the Autel, the Key Tool Plus, and the Smart Key Programmer. Now the Smart Key Programmer is not a really good option because it does give you a really good coverage. Now, obviously, always check the compatibility before buying a programmer, because not all tools work with every brand. But don't worry, at this stage, you can, like I said, you can start off getting your feet wet with the basic tools, and then you can invest further down the line. And by investing into your tools, you're basically creating a bigger market for yourself. So that's how you've got to think about it. If you've just got one particular key program that only does particular cars, that's your market. Whereas if you've got multiple key programmers that do multiple cars and give you, say, a 90% coverage rate, which would be much further on in your career, that's giving you a much bigger market and a bigger income. So really, this is all about starting small. So let's talk about the tool maintenance and storage. So always clean your tools regularly to remove all the swarf and everything that comes off of the key cutting machine. Store your Lishi picks correctly, because if they're just flying around in the back of your van, they're going to get bent and damaged and they won't work. Keep your key cutting blades sharp for precise cuts. You want to be regularly swapping out these key cutter blades for new ones to make sure you're getting a good cut. And update your key programmer software regularly. Now you can do this just by simply connecting to the internet and that will download the updates. And also you could recalibrate your machines as well, all very straightforward, and use a protective case. And we should talk about a little bit about your van safety. So obviously if you've got a sign written van that says you're an auto locksmith, you want to be having extra locks fitted on your van for security, because this is going to become a target. Now, for many years, I I didn't have my van sign written. I kept it completely blank, just for that reason, so people don't know that there's equipment in there. Now, that probably lost me jobs, because people would see the van if it's sign written and then maybe think about calling you. But it's a kind of a trade-off I didn't want, because the problem is, even if people fail to break into your vehicle because you've got extra security, they've still damaged the van, which is going to cost you a lot of money as well. So you just got to weigh that up, but make sure your machines are your key cutting machine, make sure it's bolted down with high security bolts so they can't easily be undone. And perhaps consider having a vehicle safe to store your key programming machine. So common mistakes to avoid when buying tools is buying the cheapest tools. So people often go to Alibaba or AliExpress and buy these knockoffs. Some of them are okay, some are not, but it can lead to inaccurate key cuts and lost customers. Not checking compatibility. So you don't want to be buying a key programmer that's only for European cars if you only work on American cars, for example. So do your research on that. The best way to do your research is to find a supplier and give them a phone call, rather than just spending all day searching around on the internet for information. It's better just to give them a quick call and say, look, I'm thinking of buying this. What tool do you recommend me? And on and on. So don't skip the maintenance. So like I said, all of the dull tools can ruin key cuts, and buying too many tools at once is a big mistake. I told you the story earlier about the training course I was on, where the course instructor told him to buy a laundry list of equipment. He walked away. All of that equipment turned up at his house in one day. And then you've got to learn it all very quickly. Whereas if you buy one tool at a time, let's say you start with your Lishi picks first, master the picking, then buy a key cutting machine and start getting familiar with that. Then buy your key programmer and get familiar with that. By then you're rocking and rolling. What you don't want is 10 different things turning up at your house in one day and you being overwhelmed and stressed. So that's just something to keep in mind. So a quick exercise at the end of this video, I'm going to go through a quick list of these tools as well, in visual format, so you can see. But I just wanted to summarize this lesson and just give you a quick an exercise for you to do after this lesson. So create a list of 5 beginner tools, research 2 key programming devices and compare their features, check prices and suppliers for key cutting machines, and have a clear budget in mind what you want to start with your locksmithing career. Now, when by purchasing these machines, some suppliers may need documentation from you to prove that you're actually a trading auto locksmith. So there is ways around that. There's other suppliers that don't require this. So now I want to go through a quick list of tools that I recommend. So what I will do is go through these now. So air pumps and wedges. These are what I talked about, the non-destructive entry. These are just little pumps that create a gap in the door so that you can fish out the keys or open the door. To do that, you'll need a car opening kit. So these are little poles that can go and do the job for you. A battery booster, which we've talked about, which is good to plug this in to the connect it to the car battery to keep it at an optimum level while you program the key, because that's going to give you a better success rate when programming keys, because if the battery is too low, the ECU may not recognize your key programming instructions. So keyboards, these are really handy when to have in the back of your van, because you can buy these keyboards and they're already set up with all the essential blanks on the keyboard. So at a glance, you can know exactly what key you need. So I recommend start using this as your stock to start off with. Now, 𝐓𝐿𝐒 picks and decoders. So what I recommend is having the full set of 𝐓𝐿𝐒 picks. Now, what I'll do is I'll leave a link in the description that will give you like over a $200 discount for the 𝐓𝐿𝐒 picks. And this is the tool that I recommend starting out with to start off. If you're going to buy one tool, buy 𝐓𝐿𝐒 picks. If not, you can just buy, say, 10 𝐓𝐿𝐒 picks. They're about $50 each. But if you buy the full set, obviously you're saving money straight away, because the full set's cheap, works out cheaper individually. Plus, you're going to get that huge $250 discount by going through my link, because I've partnered with a classic 𝐓𝐿𝐒 website. And these picks are highly recommended. They're not knockoffs. They work just fine. Key programmers, we talked about the Smart Pro. That's a really good option. And key cutting machine, the 𝐓𝐿𝐒. Now, when I started out in this industry, there really wasn't many options for key cutters. So I invested a lot into my one. Nowadays, you can get a key cutting machine for as little as $1,500, something like that. Super cheap. This is the 𝐓𝐿𝐒 Condor Dolphin. Does the job just fine. And you can get these starter packs, which is kind of a key programmer and a key cutting machine in one, and a key generator. So I won't go into this too much in this lesson, because this is more maybe advanced, but by having this key DIY set, this allows you to generate blank remote keys into specific makes and models of vehicles. So this will save you a lot of money in stock, because you can buy generic remotes and program them to specific vehicles. So that's it from this lesson. So like I said, look out for the next lesson, which is going to be understanding vehicle locking mechanisms. Do subscribe to this channel, and also the link in the description will take you through to a free course. So this is a free 10-part course you'll get totally free. The link's in the description, so I recommend that you grab that. And then also, like I said, just a quick summary. The right tools is going to make this faster and easier. Start with the basic tools. Make sure you maintain the tools, and research and create a shopping list to start off to kickstart your business. So grab the free course in the link in the description, subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you in the next lesson.